Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be retouching some of the images from last week's shoot. Now if you did not see the behind the scenes on that, go ahead and click the annotation above and check out that video. We're going to start off in Lightroom. Now I already culled some of the images and I actually already edited one as well, and I'll show you here. This is the original shot, so you're looking at a raw image straight from camera, and this is the edited version of what I came up with stylistically. And I went through a few versions of this and I was going back and forth. And I even have another version that's a little bit brighter and the background is not as intense. So as you can see here, I edited this image already, but I'm going to kind of go through the workflow of how I got to this point. Since we are in Lightroom, we're going to go ahead and edit this image and right click, edit in Photoshop. Photoshop is what we're going to go into so we can start retouching some of the imperfections in the skin, hair, anything in the background. So we're going to go in a little deeper on the retouching here. So I'll start by zooming in on the face. And as you can see, there are a few little imperfections here on the cheek that we're going to retouch. So we're going to go into our spot healing brush and begin to dab on some of these spots. And you can see that the skin is magically getting fixed. Now the spot healing brush does a very good job of this, especially if it's inside of the skin area. Once it starts going outside and you start changing colors in the pixels that are next to it, it starts acting a little funny. Let's say this, for example, if I wanted to kind of heal this portion of it here and I did this, it would start getting a little funky where the pixels will start blending in a little too much and it just doesn't look good. So try not to go over areas where the color changes drastically from one pixel to the next. After finishing the skin, I do want to take a look around her, anything behind her that may be distracting. The only thing that I could find distracting is this area right here has some kind of crack in the cement. So for this, instead of using the spot healing brush, I'm going to actually use the clone stamp tool. And this is a pretty cool tool because you can sample from an area right next to it. So I'll go ahead and sample from this area, for example, and just make sure we're at a higher opacity here. And then just kind of start drawing in areas that are next to it to start blending in the area so it's not as distracting. I'm okay with this. I'm not too mad at this. Maybe I'll take some of this off to kind of blend in a little more. See that? So now it's a lot less distracting from what it was before. And I might even take this highlighted one out and just kind of stamp that right out. All right, well, here I see something as well, so I'll go ahead and clone from here because there is a tree there that will kind of resemble that area. So I'm pretty happy with this. So now here is the trick. Luminar just dropped an amazing update in Luminar 4 where we can now do artificial retouching, our AI integration of retouching. So I'm going to go ahead and go inside of the program by adding a filter and clicking on Luminar 4. Once I'm inside of the program, I do have some presets that I have created and things that I have worked on, but I'm going to start from scratch. So I'm going to go into the software and we're going to dive into exactly how I use it to retouch the skin in the area. You could also do some really cool sky replacement with this. You guys will see a lot of these videos online if you do follow the software, any updates that they do. But when you're talking about the skin retouching in artificial intelligence mode, it's honestly one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Now, I don't want to retouch the image itself in here. I just want to work on the skin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, something like this. And I'm going to go right into the portrait mode. AI skin enhancer. I'm going to start bringing that up in slow, small increments. So I'm going to take a look at how it affected the image. And the cool thing here is that you can do it before and after by hitting this button up here, the eye here. So once you click on it and hold it, you'll see the before and that's the after. Now we don't see that much difference. So I'm going to crank it up a little bit more. I'm going to do it again. We can start seeing some of the skin clean up a little bit. I'm going to give it a little bit more. I'm going to go to 50%. And now you can really start noticing the skin, especially in this area right here, start cleaning up and fixing up. Here, we'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit more. So this eliminates a lot of the having to go really, really into the pores or do frequency separation or anything inside of Photoshop. This kind of quickens up our workflow. I'm pretty happy what Luminar was able to do with the skin, and I'll kind of just go ahead and trace the rest of the skin just to make sure it looks nice. And once I'm happy with what they did with the artificial intelligence, I'm going to go up here and apply it. Now that I'm back in Photoshop, you're going to see that the filter has been applied to the image. And now taking a look nice and close into this, I mean, I think it looks great. I think the picture looks awesome. As far as the skin is concerned, I do now want to play with the color a little bit. Now, the color is something that, you know, a lot of us struggle with, but thanks to Pratik, we have a really cool plugin called Infinite Color. And I'm going to go ahead and apply it in light to this image. Now there's an algorithm that pretty much randomly selects different kinds of colors that will look nice for this specific scene. And the light mode just does a less enhanced version of it. And the cool thing is it's kind of just giving me ideas of what it can do or what it can look like. But you do have all of your layers here to manipulate each and every single effect independently and also create a mask around something that you don't want it to affect. Now, I did mess with this before and I was pretty happy with one of the looks that I have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and steal it from this image that I did earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out. I'm going to drag it and drop it on this image. And here is the image. Now, it looks a little funky. Yes, it does. I do have masks that are coming in from the other image that are already drawn in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I draw them the proper way for this specific image. So I'll start with drawing the white color. Change that to 100 opacity. Let's start with drawing that back, all of these back to normal. And you can do this every single time. So I can keep the consistency of the color with the entire set of images that I'm going to be exporting. I'm going to go ahead and start with the curves layer. Now the curves layer, if we can see, I'm going to enable and disable it. It does give it more of a bluish color into the skin. So I want to draw that right out. So I'll go ahead and enable that mask. Make sure I'm on black, bring my brush maybe to 75 or 80 and start drawing it off of her skin. I don't want it to affect her skin as much as the rest of the image. Here's a good example of on and off. You see the skin stays exactly the same whether it's on or off now. I'm going to do the same thing with the color balance because I still think it's introducing too much blue to her skin. Same exact process here. I'm going to go ahead and color that off of her skin. And you can see some of the color just coming right back into the skin now. And I'm doing this a little fast for the sake of the tutorial. If I was doing this a little more professionally, I would go step by step and really zoom in and do this. But I want to get through this as quickly as possible for you guys so you guys aren't watching a 20-minute video. And here I'm doing the gradient map layer where you can see most of the color is now coming back into the skin. There's that. And her skin is back. I do see her skin a little more orange than I want it to be, but don't worry, we're going to fix that in Lightroom. Now that I have the color grade for the most part of how I want it to look, mostly in the background, not really affecting her skin, we're going to go back into Lightroom. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. And once it's saved, it automatically updates inside of Lightroom. So I'll go ahead and go back into Lightroom and you will notice a new image that's going to pop up. Here it is with the color grade added. So here is the before and you can see that there are those imperfections in the walls and in the trees and in her skin. And then the new image. Again, her skin shouldn't really change. It feels like it's a lot warmer, but that's because we changed the background color drastically. Now, since I created my own stylistic edit before on another image, I can easily copy and paste it, but I kind of want to go step by step on how I came up with this. So I'll go ahead and follow these parameters here and do it to the new image so you guys can kind of see a step by step, and I'll try to go through it as fast as possible. So I'll go -5 and -2. I mean, I can get as perfect as I want, or I can get as close as I want. I did brighten the other one up. And remember, it's not going to be exactly the same. The sun could have changed. My exposure could have changed. Things in the area may have changed the exposure or even the color. Depending if a cloud went over the sky, it will be a little more blue. But I'm going to go ahead and copy it and paste it to the best of my ability and then tweak from there. So now here's where it really matters. I'm inside of my curve adjustment layer, and I'm going to go through each and every color specifically. I'm going to start with red. Now this red was not affected at all. So I'm going to go to the blue. Blue was not affected, but the green was. So I see that I pulled down the green on the highlights and a little bit on the mid. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. I'm in my green. I'm going to pull down from the highlights and the mids a little bit. There we go. Now you can tell the pictures are starting to look a lot closer in color, but there is still a little difference in the skin and the wall, and we're going to get to that right now. Now I'm in the HSL panel, and I'm going to go ahead and look at what I did here. Now you can see I did tweak a lot of the hues from different colors, so I'm going to go ahead and try to match that as well. And again, you guys can just copy and paste it, but I want to go step by step just so you guys can see how the image starts changing as I'm changing these parameters. I'm going to go now into my saturation just to see if I changed anything on that area, and it looks like I did. And luminance as well. Now we're going to go into now the split toning area and copy that. Now we're getting to the point where it looks a lot closer in color. Hue 1, 2, 5, and 30. Now we're in the sharpening area. I did over sharpen the image because I did want it to look extra sharp. I do over sharpen a little bit when it comes to video. Now I didn't change any other parameters from here on out. What I did was I created a mask and I started working within the skin. If we come over and look at our other adjustment, we can actually click here and see the adjustments that I made. Now I did make it a little warmer. I did add a little bit more tint here, made it a little bit brighter. So I'm going to go ahead and copy those as well into the next mask. Now this cool little trick we can do to compare both of them is clicking on both by holding Command and hitting the C button. And this will get you a really cool reference as to how similar they are, how different they are. You can see here, comparing both images, they're very similar, and I really like how they came out. I do, however, want to go back into Photoshop and draw a mask around the jacket so that we can make sure that it's red just like in the previous image. I'll fast forward through that really quick just so you guys can see the process and save it, and we are done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I did go step by step through everything I did in order to edit the images that you guys saw in last week's video. So I'm really happy that you guys stayed this long. So if you did, go ahead and hit the like button, comment down below if you do have any questions. I know I went as fast as possible to not make the video very long. So if you guys do have any comments, please go ahead and reach out. I'll be more than happy to make a more intricate video, a little more in depth. But I did go through my entire workflow so you guys know exactly what I did.